happens if you pull this off?
So I think if anyone pulls off the thing that they have in their head, it becomes one of the most exciting journeys you can ever go on in your life. It is more exciting, I think, than falling in love. I think it's more exciting than doing drugs. It's like the thrilling experience of pulling it off, the proverbial it. Everyone knows what it is if you're trying to pull something off. Is the feeling that you took an idea that was one day nothing other than an idea and you turned it into something. And what that means is you enabled yourself to go on a journey that was worthwhile enough to take you from point A to point B. So when I think about pulling it off, at least in my context, if I'm able to build a startup, build this company and have it impact a lot of people, I think of really important moments. So what happens when I'm on the bus one day and I see someone using my product? At the end of The Social Network, the movie about Zuckerberg, the last scene in the movie was him seeing his ex-girlfriend signed up on Facebook. And it was hilarious because she broke up with him because she thought he was like a nerd and creepy and whatever. She probably had some fair reasons. But at the end of the movie, he's like, she's using the thing that I built. And that's when the movie ends. And I think the metaphor of that ending was like, everyone's going to use this thing that you built, including your ex-girlfriend. And it's just going to go crazy. So like, what if I'm on the bus one day? What if I'm on the train one day and I see someone put in their AirPods and they pull up my app to listen to an audio? I mean, that would be insane. That would be absolutely incredible just to see the fact that one day no one used it and now one day someone uses it. What happens one day if you sell the company, make some money, and you're able to retire your mom? You know, you're able to buy them a new house. You're able to just get them to be comfortable forever. Like, these are the things that I think about when it comes to what happens if you pull it off. And I think the argument here is that the upside of the potential of pulling it off and the excitement one gets from that potential upside, even if the potential is low, which means it's not impossible, it just maybe not as probable, is enough to keep you going through the crappy obstacles you have to deal with, because what happens if you pull it off?
Even if you were to pull it off, what do you think would be your next steps? Like, what would happen to you philosophically? You're like, I can achieve anything? What would your...
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I feel like I've pulled off some things in my life before doing this at smaller scales, and that gave me the confidence to try to pull this off. So like in college, I started a small business around online tutoring. It did decently well. It was not like absolutely crazy, but it helped pay the bills while I was in college, and I was like, I pulled it off. I was able to get through college by starting that little business, and I was like, well, if I could do that, why can't I do this? There's some things that happened in life romantically where I didn't think I was going to be able to get a girl, but then I got a girl and she was into me, and it's like, well, if I was able to pull that off where I was not supposed to get with that person and now they actually care about me, they like me, they like my personality, my thoughts, why can't I try to do it again with a different person who's quote unquote out of my league? Like, the whole idea of pulling something off, even if it's in a minute sense, means that the next thing you do, if you're ambitious enough, which usually if you keep pulling things off, you keep that ambition going, means you're going to try harder. So if Audia works, if this startup works, and I'm able to pull it off, the next thing's probably going to be 10 times bigger. Because I don't see myself stopping at that point. I don't see myself just sitting with a pile of cash and being like, okay, what do I do now? It's like, no, what's the next thing to do? How big can this get? And so I think that's the mindset that's important when it comes to what happens if this works. It's all about what happens if this actually somehow happens. And this is the same thing when it came to raising funding for Audia. It's like, man, that would be crazy if we raised money. And then you kind of pull it off. Somehow you pull it off. I remember there was a friend I had when I introduced Audia to the world, June 2021. Again, nothing's really proven about it. I just like, hey guys, I've been working on this for the past 6 months, and I told Facebook, told my friends, told my family, all that stuff. And my friend messages me, he's like, how do you think about funding? And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna try to get some investors. And he kind of worked in the VC space and biotech at the mixture of both, so he knew how hard it was, but he thought the idea had potential. And nothing happens. Then a year later, in July 2022, I say, hey, we raised 300 grand. And he messages me with this meme. And the meme is, what's the guy from, I think it's Samuel Jackson? No, it's not Samuel Jackson. It's the guy from that movie. What's the fucking movie, bro?
You don't watch movies.
Oh man, I know the name. Training Day. Who's the guy in Training Day? Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington, where he was like, this motherfucker pulled it off. That was the meme. And it was crazy. He's like, somehow you did it. And I was like, yeah, somehow I did it. And I think that's also the feeling that I really want to capture when it comes to other people. I feel like I need to give other people that feeling of just like, damn, this guy actually did it. Somehow. We didn't think he would do it. We did it. I mean, probably your friends in high school, right? You probably were into content and creation and they were like, we don't know what Tristan's gonna do. And now you're out here, you know, potentially on your way to become a really, really successful person in the videography world. And you come out with a feature film one day, they're like, damn, this motherfucker did it. We didn't know if Tristan was gonna do it, but he did it. I'm pretty sure everyone in college did not expect me to start a startup or a successful startup or raise funding for a startup. And that's kind of cool, right? Because then you have this chip on your shoulder, which is like, well, what if I do it? What if I actually pull it off? In a world in which most people that have grand ambitions never even try to pull it off, what happens if you are the one to actually pull it off? It is the only journey, as I said in the beginning of this talk, that matters because it is the most amount of upside. And not even just financially, most amount of upside, pure dopamine happiness wise. It's like if someone says you can't run a mile in 3 minutes and you run the mile in 2 minutes, it is the greatest thing ever because you did something that most people thought you weren't going to be able to do and only you knew how hard it was to be able to get that thing done. And so I'm going to be very excited if I pull it off, and I'm going to be happy regardless of if it works out because I tried to pull it off. But the question still remains, what happens if I pull it off?